Dragons, a factual inquiry into a fantastical beast. It is a creature etched into the bedrock of human consciousness, a monster of immense power and primal fear. It has scales of impenetrable armor, teeth like daggers, and wings that can eclipse the sun. It breathes fire, hoards gold, and represents the ultimate challenge for heroes and saints. From the misty mountains of China to the cold fjords of Scandinavia and the sun-scorched deserts of the Middle East, one creature's legend spans nearly every culture on Earth: the dragon. For thousands of years, we have told stories of these magnificent beasts. They are symbols of chaos, nature, wisdom, and evil. We see them in our foundational myths, our religious texts, and our most beloved works of fantasy. But this raises a profound and tantalizing question. Why? Why is the idea of the dragon so universal, so persistent? Could this global myth have a basis in some long-forgotten reality? In an age of scientific discovery, we are forced to confront the ultimate riddle of the dragon. Are these creatures purely a product of human imagination, a psychological archetype born from our deepest fears? Or could our ancestors have encountered something real that sparked these enduring legends? Something buried in the earth, or something that once slithered, swam, or flew in the ancient world? This is a journey to peel back the layers of myth and look for the bones of truth. We will explore ancient history, cutting-edge paleontology, and the very workings of the human mind to ask the definitive question: were dragons ever real? The dragon is not a modern invention. Its story is as old as civilization itself, woven into the very first myths of humanity. To understand the dragon, we must first travel back to the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. Here, in the epic creation myth, the Enuma Elish, we find Tiamat, the primordial goddess of the salt sea, a monstrous, chaotic being often depicted in draconic form, who is slain by the hero god Marduk to create the ordered world. The dragon, from its very inception, was a symbol of primordial chaos that must be overcome. This theme echoed across the ancient world. In Egypt, the serpent deity Apep was the embodiment of darkness, an eternal enemy of the sun god Ra, whom he tried to swallow every night. In ancient Greece, the myths were filled with dragon-like beasts, or drakons, a word that simply meant great serpent. There was the Lernaean Hydra with its multiple heads, Ladon guarding the golden apples of the Hesperides, and the dragon that guarded the golden fleece, a formidable obstacle for the hero Jason. These were not typically winged, fire-breathing creatures, but powerful, earthbound serpents, guardians of treasure and gatekeepers to the unknown. As we move north into the cold, stark world of Norse mythology, the dragon grows even more formidable. Here we find Fafnir, a dwarf twisted by greed into a venomous dragon, hoarding a cursed treasure until he is slain by the hero Sigurd. And coiled around the roots of the world tree is the ultimate serpent, Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a creature so vast it encircles the entire world, biting its own tail. The dragon here is a world-ending force, a symbol of doom and inevitable destruction. But while the West was crafting a narrative of monstrous chaos, an entirely different dragon was rising in the East. In China, the Long was not a creature of evil, but a divine, benevolent being. A composite of many animals, with the body of a snake, scales of a carp, claws of an eagle, and antlers of a stag. The Chinese dragon was a powerful spirit of nature. It commanded the waters, bringing life-giving rain, and was a symbol of luck, power, and prosperity, so closely associated with the emperor that he was said to sit on the dragon throne. This dragon was not a monster to be slain, but a force to be revered. Later, back in Europe, the rise of Christianity co-opted the dragon myth, transforming it into a potent symbol of paganism and satanic evil. The dragon in the Book of Revelation, the great red dragon with 7 heads, became synonymous with the devil. Tales of saints like Saint George taming or slaying a dragon became popular allegories for the triumph of Christian faith over evil. The dragon was no longer just a monster. It was the ultimate adversary of God and man. From chaos deity to benevolent spirit to demonic foe, the dragon had already lived 1,000 lives in human culture before the dawn of modern science. The sheer universality of the dragon myth is staggering. How could so many disconnected cultures all invent such a similar creature? For centuries, this was a philosophical question. But today, science offers several compelling hypotheses that might just explain the origin of dragons, not as magical beasts, but as misinterpreted truths from the natural world. Our investigation begins deep within the Earth. The first and most powerful explanation is rooted in paleontology, fossils. Long before we understood evolution or geological time, people across the globe are finding strange, giant bones weathering out of the Earth. Without a scientific framework, what else could they conclude but that these were the remains of colossal monsters? The historian and folklorist Adrian Mayer has famously argued that the ancient myth of the griffin, a creature with the body of a lion and the head and talons of an eagle, was likely inspired by real fossil discoveries. Ancient Scythian gold miners, traveling through the Gobi Desert, would have encountered the fossilized skeletons of the beaked dinosaur Protoceratops. These skeletons, with their four-legged stance, sharp beaks, and bony neck frills that could be misinterpreted as wings, were often found near nests of eggs on the ground, just as the legends described griffins guarding their nests. It's a near-perfect match. This connection is even more explicit in China, which has a long and continuous history of documenting dragon bones. For millennia, Chinese scholars described these fossils, and apothecaries would grind them into powder for use in traditional medicine. We now know, without a doubt, that these so-called dragon bones were, in fact, the fossilized remains of dinosaurs. To an ancient person who unearthed the massive vertebrae of a sauropod or the horned skull of a ceratopsian, the conclusion was simple and logical. They have found a dragon. But fossils aren't the only potential source. The living world is filled with animals that, to an early human, would have seemed monstrously draconic. The most obvious candidates are large reptiles. Giant pythons and crocodiles are powerful, scaly predators that evoke a primal fear. The Nile crocodile, with its armored hide, powerful jaws, and semi-aquatic nature, fits the description of many early water dragons. The king cobra, with its intimidating hood and deadly venom, easily embodies the concept of a mythical serpent. On the island of Komodo, in Indonesia, lives a creature we still call a dragon today. The Komodo dragon is the world's largest lizard, a formidable predator with a venomous bite that can take down prey as large as a water buffalo. Witnessing such a creature in the wild, a relic from a more ancient time, it's easy to see how tales of even larger, more monstrous lizards could spread and grow into the dragon myth. Even the skeletons of large whales, washed ashore with their enormous ribs and strange skulls, could have been interpreted as the remains of great sea serpents or dragons. Beyond individual animals, some scientists have proposed a fascinating psychological explanation. The late, great scientist Carl Sagan, in his book The Dragons of Eden, speculated that the dragon myth might be a kind of cultural memory, an echo of deep, instinctual fears from our primate ancestors. For millions of years, the primary predators of early primates were large snakes, birds of prey, and big cats. Sagan suggested that the dragon, a composite creature with the serpentine body of a snake, the wings and talons of an eagle, and the ferocious, toothy maw of a feline predator, is the ultimate monster, a fusion of our most ancient and hardwired fears. This aligns with the concept of archetypes, developed by the psychoanalyst Carl Jung. An archetype is a universal symbol or theme found in the collective unconscious of humanity. The dragon, in this view, is a powerful archetype representing the untamed, chaotic forces of nature, or the dark, unexplored parts of the human psyche itself. It is the monster that guards the treasure because, psychologically, confronting our deepest fears is how we attain our greatest rewards. This could explain why the dragon, in some form, appears in the dreams and myths of societies that have never seen a crocodile or a dinosaur fossil. It is a monster we carry within us. While the dragons of myth may not have been real, the idea of the dragon is more alive today than ever before. It has slithered out of ancient legends and coiled itself firmly around our modern popular culture, becoming a dominant force in fantasy literature, film, and gaming. The modern dragon is often a far more complex character than its ancient counterparts. J.R.R. Tolkien's Smaug from The Hobbit perfectly captured the classical European dragon, greedy, intelligent, vain, and utterly destructive. This portrayal heavily influenced the dragons of Dungeons and Dragons, which codified them into different species with specific alignments, from chaotic evil red dragons to lawful good gold dragons. This gave dragons personality and complexity beyond just being monsters to be slain. In recent decades, fantasy has gone even further, often casting dragons not as adversaries, but as partners, companions, and even protagonists. Series like Emma McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern, Ursula K. Le Guin's Earth-Sea Cycle, and modern hits like Game of Thrones and How to Train Your Dragon explore deep, symbiotic relationships between humans and these magnificent beasts. The modern dragon is often a creature of profound intelligence and ancient wisdom, a powerful ally in a world of turmoil. This enduring fascination has also fueled a more fringe interest, cryptozoology. This is the search for hidden or unknown animals, creatures whose existence is unproven by science. Many cryptids, from the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland to Mokombembe in the Congo Basin, are described with distinctly dragon-like or dinosaurian features, long necks, serpentine bodies, and a prehistoric appearance. While mainstream science has found no credible evidence for these creatures, the enduring hunt for them speaks to a deep-seated human desire for the myths to be true, a hope that some fragment of the ancient, monstrous world might still survive, hidden in the planet's last unexplored corners. It is, in essence, a modern dragon hunt. Meanwhile, science continues to show us the real dragons that live among us today. We give a name to the Komodo dragon, the world's largest lizard, to the Draco volans, the flying dragon of Southeast Asia that glides on extended ribs, and to the delicate, beautiful leafy sea dragon of Australia. We use the name to describe the power and ferocity we see in nature. The term dragon has become a powerful shorthand for the awe-inspiring, the ancient, and the untamed aspects of the natural world. What does the future hold for the dragon? As a myth, it is eternally adaptable. As technology evolves, so too will our depictions of dragons. In virtual and augmented reality, we will soon be able to stand before a dragon, to feel the heat of its breath and the tremor of its footsteps. AI-driven storytelling may generate infinite new dragon legends and characters. The dragon of tomorrow will be limited only by the bounds of our ever-expanding imagination. But the most exciting future for dragons lies not in fiction, but in fact. The true dragon hunt continues, not with swords and shields, but with rock hammers and ground-penetrating radar. Paleontology is constantly revealing real-life creatures from our planet's past that are far more bizarre and awe-inspiring than any dragon of myth. Every year, new species are discovered that challenge our understanding of what is possible for life to achieve. Consider Spinosaurus, a semi-aquatic predatory dinosaur with a massive sail on its back and a crocodile-like snout. Or Deinocheirus, a giant, feathered, humpbacked omnivore with huge arms. Or Quetzalcoatlus, a pterosaur with the wingspan of a small airplane. These are the real monsters of Earth's past, their forms dictated not by human psychology, but by the relentless pressures of evolution. The future of paleontology guarantees that we will continue to unearth creatures that are stranger than fiction, the true dragons of deep time. And what of our own world? While the chances of finding a literal, giant, unknown reptile are vanishingly small, the earth still holds its secrets. The deep oceans, in particular, remain largely unexplored. We have yet to fully catalog the life that exists in the crushing pressures and perpetual darkness of the abyss. The future of exploration will undoubtedly reveal new species, perhaps some large and startling, that will continue to fuel our sense of wonder and remind us that our planet is still a place of mystery. The spirit of the dragon hunt, the quest to find and understand the unknown, is alive and well. So, did dragons ever really exist? The answer, in the end, is a resounding and beautiful paradox. No, and yes. No, a literal, fire-breathing, six-limbed winged reptile has never been found in the fossil record. It is a biological impossibility, a beast born of fantasy. But in a more profound sense, dragons have always existed. They existed in the fossilized bones of dinosaurs, misinterpreted by our ancestors as the remains of monsters. They existed in the powerful forms of crocodiles and snakes, fueling our primal fears. And they exist, most powerfully within the shared architecture of the human mind, as an enduring archetype of the great, untamed unknown that we must confront to find our own strength. The myth of the dragon is not truly a story about a fantastical animal. It is a story about us. It reflects our awe of nature's power, our fear of the dark, our need to create order out of chaos, and our boundless capacity for imagination. The search for the dragon's origin leads us on a journey through the history of human thought itself. It teaches us that while science could dispel a myth, it often replaces it with a reality that is even more wondrous and awe-inspiring. The real dragons were the dinosaurs, the pterosaurs, the great marine reptiles, and the future will undoubtedly reveal more. The legend is dead. Long live the discovery.